welcome to the Matt Cave. So, I went into Justice League with very, very, very low expectations. I surprisingly liked it. What I really liked about it was the comedy. Well, some of the comedy. But I really liked how this movie took a much lighter tone than the previous movies, and that's what I was really enjoying the most out of Justice League. Most of the comedy flowed through Barry Allen's Flash, and it was great. He was pretty much what I enjoyed the most. I love Batman in Batman v Superman. He was probably my favorite part of Batman v Superman, and I loved him in Justice League. I think that Ben Affleck is a great Batman and a great Bruce Wayne. I said it before and I'll say it again. I also really liked Wonder Woman. She was great. Obviously, they rewrote it probably to make her stand out more in this movie, and it was well deserving. She was great as just like she was in Wonder Woman. I also enjoyed the hell out of Jason Momoa's Aquaman. He was tons of fun. Didn't really get that much time, but his surfer dude interpretation that he had was a lot of fun. Actually, after watching Justice League, I'm actually really interested for the Aquaman and Flash solo movies that are slated to be coming soon by Warner Brothers. And surprising the hell out of me, when Superman showed up, he was fantastic. He was a total departure from his old grumpy, Superman, and it was joyful and tonally different than anything we've seen in the DCEU. But Cyborg, he just sucked. I didn't enjoy him. He's just like a walking CGI plot device. I understand why he's there, and maybe I just don't understand the character because I don't read much of his comics, but I didn't enjoy him one bit. I thought I didn't really like the performance either, so I didn't like him at all. And although most of them were filled with pretty CGI, I actually really enjoyed most of the fight scenes in Justice League. I thought there was one fight scene in the beginning with the Amazonians that they show in the trailer that was pretty cool. The Amazonians are pretty badass. Though the fight scenes at the end battle, it just seemed kind of off. And that's where I think the tone plays in a lot. I totally tell that just two different tones were mixed in here, and it definitely seemed off a little bit. The movie, whether it was the pacing and just how the scenes played out, you could tell that four hands had touched Justice League in it, and it wasn't a clear vision from start to finish. And probably another thing that affected that was the fact that Warner Brothers stamped a 2-hour time limit on this movie. That didn't help. This movie needed a little bit more time because the first half, at least, felt a little bit rushed because they had to go through everyone's backstory and how they got together, and it did seem a little rushed because they had to get it under 2 hours. And there were a couple green screen CGI moments that stood out very, very bad. You could just tell that these people were not in wherever they were standing behind a green screen. And so that part was a little disappointing, but the whole movie was filled with not so great CGI. And talking about CGI, let's just hold the phone on Superman's CGI'd mustache. Now, there are definitely parts in this movie that you can tell that they went back in and they wiped his mustache off. But I think if they hadn't made such a big deal about it, if there wasn't like big headlines everywhere about Henry Cavill's mustache, I don't think you would have noticed it. But since those headlines came out and you're looking at Superman's upper lip, you can totally tell that it was probably airbrushed a little bit and it seemed a little weird motioning. So I think it only stood out just because you were focused on it because the headlines told you to focus on it. And we can talk about Steppenwolf. I didn't like him as a villain at all. His CGI looked really bad. He looked too cartoony, I guess is a good word for it. And then just his overall character, he was an villain, probably right up there with most of the Marvel villains. I didn't really understand what he was doing, trying to destroy the world, yada yada yada, cartoon, CGI, army. Okay, for most of the second half of this movie, they focus on a family that is sitting in where Steppenwolf's army has set up, and they focus on this family of 4, but they also talk about how this town that they're in is filled with, other people. But for the whole movie, they just focus on this one family. They don't show anyone else. It drives me crazy. There's a whole town full of people. Maybe if they die, and then you can use them as like, oh my gosh, this family died. We weren't there to save them. Let's rally the troops and let's kill all these people because we let this family die. But no, it's just this one family. There are thousands, hundreds, millions of other people in this town, and they only focus on these 4 freaking people. I don't get it. Oh. So like I said, I surprisingly enjoyed Justice League. And I think that's partly because I went in with super low expectations. When the heroes come together, it's a whole lot of fun. If you like DC superheroes, you should probably go see this movie. If you like superhero movies, it's probably worth checking out. It's a pretty good, if you're comparing it against Marvel, it's a pretty good, middle-of-the-road Marvel movie. But if you don't like either of those, you probably don't need to see it. Well, thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, comment below. I'll see you next time. Peace!